That's the problem with using pain as the only thing that guides the success of an intervention. And you'll see that a lot in the research as well, where someone may have a certain scapular behavior and they may have some shoulder pain. And then they will say, oh, they might need this activation of that muscle there, and then they'll try to activate that muscle. And clients might feel better after it, but they actually still have the same scapular behavior as they did beforehand. So the scapular behavior never changed what they may have previously deemed as dysfunctional. And then they try to organize a rehabilitation strategy around trying to reduce that dysfunction, making things more ideal. And the pain may have improved, but the dysfunction that they previously demonstrated hasn't changed. So if that hasn't changed, then you can't say that the pain was there because of the dysfunction in the first place. Does that make sense? And that's the tricky thing with trying to organize or have a thought process behind trying to identify things as dysfunctional and ideal. It's a very bad way to clinically reason through things by saying, oh, that's right, that's wrong, or this is good, this is bad. Because in order for you to say that it's actually something that's necessary to address, you have to ensure that the bad thing changed with the pain relief or the pain reduction, right? And if it didn't change, then you can't say that the pain was there because of the dysfunction.
We did about this for 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, but that's the problem. That's what breeds this idea that, oh, I know what's dysfunctional and ideal because they're only using pain to guide the success and not actually coming back to their previous assessment to see what actually changed. And typically nothing changes. That's why we take an approach of just trying to promote variability. So we can still have, for example, a scapula that is not moving well, or that's in a certain position, and we can say, let's say, oh, the scapula is very depressed and downwardly rotated. Then I can still use strategies to promote the opposite, upward rotation of the scapula, a little bit of elevation to try and get some length into these tissues here. Now, the client might feel better afterwards, but they may still drop back into that downwardly rotated and depressed position. But that's not a problem. That's just their resting position. But what we want to see is, do they have the ability to experience opposing ends of the movement range? So if someone's stuck in scapular depression and downward rotation, and they can't upwardly rotate and elevate the scapula, then it's something that may need to be addressed, whether it's a range of motion issue or whether it's a strengthening issue. But if they have the ability to do both, then it might not be something that we have to address, because someone's resting position isn't reflective of their movement capabilities. It's just a snapshot in time of what their resting position is. So I like to rest in a bit of thoracic flexion. It doesn't mean I can't extend my thoracic spine. So if you just use my thoracic resting position to say, oh, he's lacking thoracic extension, or that's bad, then that's not enough information to make that decision on. You have to look at their ability to move through both ends of the movement range of motion. And that gives you an insight into the variability they have access to. Can they flex? Can they extend? Same thing you see with the foot. Someone's resting in pronation. We say, oh, they must need supination. But how can you say that until you actually assess it? If they can then plantar flex and supinate, then they have the ability to do that. It's just that they've chosen to rest in foot pronation, and that's fine. But you can't only use that resting position to guide what you're going to do from a rehab standpoint, because then you're making a decision on very, very incomplete information. And naturally, that's what we do as practitioners, but we do want to gather more information than just the person's resting posture, And that's typically the limitation or the issue that people have with a postural assessment. There's nothing wrong with assessing someone's posture, but don't only use their postural assessment to guide what you do from a rehab standpoint. That's the problem. You want to use postural assessment and give you clues as to their tendencies, their strategies, but don't only use that. Gather more information as to what's happening locally, globally, their low tolerance. Integrate that with their subjective experience as well, their goals, their aggravating tasks, all those things too. Okay?